Welcome back to Football Fun Days, everyone. We have two special guests with us. We have Prashanth Nair from MUFCI, and we have our voice of MUFCM, Shyam Vador, the voice we've all been craving to hear in a screening, but we've not got the chance. Jets, welcome to the show. Shyam, quickly, I'll start off with you. What do you think about that Newcastle game? What do you think about Ole's tactics? And then Prashant quickly switch into what those tactics will be versus PSG and why we started the team we started.
First, thank you for having me on the show. And to start with the Newcastle game, I think with the starting 11 which we started, we did a decent job for the starting 11 which was there on the pitch. And once Newcastle went up for an unlucky own goal, they wanted to shut shop straight up from there. So we didn't do enough to break through those lines, and then I think Ole was a little too late on the substitutions because till 82nd, 80th minute we were 1-1, and then the immediate impact the substitutions had when they came on. I mean, he had to bring them a little earlier, is what I would say. So, in terms of the gameplay, I think we did deserve to win, but again, Ole is a little too late for bringing the subs in. It's not tactically. I think he should be bringing them a little earlier compared to what he did in the last 5-7 games, I must say.
100% right. Shyam, this is something you and I have spoken about extensively, where people have disagreed with us extensively about how the subs come on, right? Doesn't matter who the players are. A quick player in the 78th minute is going to be as quickly comes on the 70th minute. There's no need to push it to that. And it's being fair to the player, right? You need to give that player a chance. It's how he treated Mason Greenwood at the start of last season, where he would get him on for 5 minutes and, it was taking a while, versus then everyone saw what happened, right? But you know what?
And had it not been for the De Gea save, the extraordinary save which he had, we would have gone 2-0 down or maybe a 2-1 down, and then bringing on Van de Beek a little late wouldn't have had the same impact because the morals would have been down, the shoulders would have dropped. So I think fortunately for us, De Gea made that save, and Van de Beek had the impact when he came on.
Yeah, Prashant, exactly like Shyam said, De Gea did what De Gea's been doing for United over the last couple of seasons, not last season, which was the anomaly for us to watch him behind the sticks make so many mistakes. So all in all, the squad kind of showed up for Ole. And Ole picked that squad, not just to send a message, but obviously PSG and then Chelsea afterwards. Big games coming up, right? What do you think about the players he rested? And do you think the message was sent to the likes of Pogba?
I think a couple of things which we really got from the Newcastle game was Ole isn't scared of taking decisions. That's one thing which I've always appreciated the man. I'm not going to say he's a great man tactically, etc., etc. But he steadied a sinking ship and he sent the right message to some players, which was much needed. Secondly, I totally agree with the Van de Beek point in the discussion, what you guys said. And, if I was Van de Beek, I would be just thinking and saying, what else do I need to do for me to start in your plans? There has to be something which I have to show. Now, after all that, now facing PSG right now, Van de Beek would be still thinking, saying that this is a perfect game for me. You are asking me to play against a team who's got a lot of firepower in attack, which means they're going to give me spaces. And this is a tailor-made game for me to wreak havoc. Because understand that you don't have those kind of old school footballers like Van de Beek or Thomas Muller of that fact, where, they can slot in easily between defenses and then make space for themselves. So we've got a gem in Donny Van de Beek. It'll be interesting to see who starts with him. Because honestly, I think we still haven't found out a system where we can include Bruno, Pogba, Van de Beek. And to add to that, not to forget, a man who was almost labeled by everyone that your career is over is Juan Mata. Right? He's having a Juan Mata renaissance. You think about these four players, you've got brains of probably one of the best midfields you can have, but not the complete midfield. You've got four midfielders who got extremely creative, intelligent, cheeky, but not a complete midfield. Right. So the complete midfielder there is Nemanja Matic. But that again means five midfielders, and how do we include all of them? That's a big, that's a big question which even Ole would be thinking. I'm sure he would be. If not, that's a big disappointment.
Some of the fans, Prashant, some of the fans were expecting that he might just risk starting either. See, no one really thought he's going to start with Igalo up front, right? That everyone knew was not going to happen. This was actually a good time to maybe test out. Now that's fine that it didn't, but you got to test it out. Not a normal wide system that we've been playing. Just Rashford up front with maybe the likes of Greenwood, which Greenwood was injured in the end, right? Which is why he went with the formation. But would you see a chance where you would see Matic playing in the back? you see Bruno, Van de Beek, and Pogba ahead. It is a case to see that we can control. It's a different style of play completely. But do you think that's the kind of play he would go for against PSG?
No, I don't think so. I think with PSG, he will go for a safety first approach because he clearly knows that he's got a very depleted squad rather than, having a Spurs kind of a game, where we tried to play a very open kind of football, at least for the first 15 minutes, and where we got 3 goals very quickly and we didn't know how to react to it. He would rather, go for a pragmatic approach. I really hope he goes for a pragmatic approach here, not undermining Man United but I just want him to be very cautious before he starts the game, because we have got this huge tendency that we try to play very expansive football in the initial 10 minutes, then we concede 2 goals, then it's all catch up. So I really hope he goes for a 5 at the back or a more compact approach. I don't care if he goes for a 4 at the back or a 5 at the back. It has to be very compact at the back, because you've got 2 guys, which is Neymar and Mbappe, who's got pace. They are clinical. Neymar can give you 3-4 chances if he misses one, but Mbappe will not. Mbappe will finish, and once you are in the catch-up game in Champions League, it's going to be an uphill task for this Man United to climb back, because our firepower up front is on the weaker side. Remember, we don't have Edinson Cavani, we don't have Greenwood, which technically means Rashford will be leading the line up front, and obviously Ode and Ighalo. For which I don't have much expectations, because he's a huge fan of United and I'm happy he's a fan. Yeah. But I don't expect him to go firing all cylinders like even if it was Mauro Icardi starting in place of, let's say, an Mbappe, I would still be scared, because Mauro Icardi is one of the most clinical strikers in world football. But we can't say the same thing for Ode and Ighalo. Then we have our defense as well.
No, of course not. But I'll just go back. Now let's talk about the happy feeling, right? That 3-1 victory. Yeah. I'm going to look at that lineup that we had in that win, Shyam, and you tell me. We had Bailly, we had Smalling, Lindelof, Shaw, Young, McTominay, Fred, Anders, Pereira, Marcus Rashford, Lukaku. Yes, that's one thing I will bring in right now. Lukaku, we discounted back then, but if you look at it now, was a big presence to have leading up that squad. He did take away a lot of that pressure from the centre backs, right, for the likes of Rashford there. Yeah. Shyam, what is your fear? PSG are depleted, like he said. They don't have Paredes and they do not have Verratti. So it's all Hander Herrera, and they prefer if Herrera is a man marker. They would have loved Herrera to just man mark Bruno out of this game, right? They can't really focus on that approach. But do you still think that United has a weakness going into the squad against PSG, even though PSG have so many injuries?
Yes, I do, because as he said, if you start playing 5 at the back, we are definitely losing it in the midfield. And if you give spaces to the likes of Mbappe and Neymar, that amount of space is more than enough for them to create anything out of thin air, and goals would be coming in freely for them. So I fear that if we try and shut shop right from the get-go with 5 at the back, it would be a little difficult for us. 4-4-2 is probably would be my approach. And again, as Ole said, mountains are there to be climbed, because we won that game with if you look at the starting lineup you just said, I mean, we didn't go to the game thinking of winning it and But fortunately, we were lucky with the 2 Lukaku goals. Both were defensive lapses, to be quite honest. One was a back pass and second was the keeper dropping it off. Yeah. So we were lucky in those terms. But again, you never know. But if you really go with a very defensive mindset in this game, especially with the injuries they have, I think will making it difficult for us. Might as well go with a clear mindset that they have the injuries, try and make the most of it. Although we are not with Maguire in this squad right now.
Yeah, but 100%, right? In fact, that's what I'm trying to say. Ole should actually channel his own win against PSG to rally up the squad right now, because the squad is actually better off than they were back then. Yes, we have we do have an injury at the centre back. Maguire has been crucial. But if we've seen the likes of Smalling perform for us before, I do see him inspiring one player to come in when the forward line actually will be good enough to lead. Yes, Mbappe and Neymar obviously were world class. There's no doubt about that. That fear will be anytime we play a side like this. It's going to be there. This is how it's going to be Champions League. Even if we progress to the semi-final, we are going to be scared about Madrid and Bayern Munich, because we as United fans right now know exactly where our squad stand. But we also know that the man who's in charge actually can inspire the squad to turn up for wins against your Madrids and your Bayern Munich. So the positivity is there. In fact, I don't see that much reason to be worried. Like some fans, you see on Twitter, are actually quite scared again. And I'm not seeing that. Do I see a emphatic win, like a complete surprise 3-0 or 3-1? No, I don't.
No.
But Prashanth, based on what Shyam said, right, and you said,
Yep.
you don't care if it's a 4-4-2, you don't care if it's a 3-5-2. You rather start off with a midfield. The battle will be one in the midfield, and midfield is where they're depleted, right? So quickly, then give me your full lineup, position wise, and like give me your lineup in a minute, and then Sham, agree or disagree, and then we'll do a lineup with you if you disagree.
So I would want to start David at the back. I was about to say Dean Henderson, my bad.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
No, David forever.
Your heart and mind clash right there.
No. I was actually thinking it would have been a good option to start Dean Henderson, but not in the Champions League. But cup games are better, and it's always good that 1 year of deputy is good, because playing for Sheffield is much different than playing for Manchester United. So it's a good exposure for him that way. So I would start David at the back. In the center of the park, when I say in the defense, I would want to have. There's no options. I would have Victor Lindelof and Tuanzebe, because we are clearly depleted. I'm not sure of bringing Teden Mengi as of now, because too big a test. As Shyam said, I would really love Luke Shaw as a left centre back here. I clearly know he doesn't have the height to be a centre back, but what Luke Shaw can do is he can break out attacks and set the ball in rolling, because these PSG players will press and they don't track back quickly, especially Neymar and Mbappe. They just don't track back very quickly. Luke Shaw will be very effective. On the other side, I would definitely want Alex Telles to start, because there are going to be spaces in this game.
Yeah.
Right. So Alex Telles should start on the left-hand side and Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
In the midfield, we don't have an option on the right side anyways. Brandon Williams, no. I'm not keen on starting Brandon Williams on the right side. In the center, I really hope Nemanja Matic starts. I would want Matic to start. Bruno and Van de Beek, not Pogba in this game. I don't want to start Pogba. I would want to start Van de Beek here, because of the sheer reason why I mentioned, to utilize space. Up front, I would want to have Rashford. I would want to have Daniel James on the right-hand side, because what is he good at, right? He's good at running. He's good. Forget his final end ball or, whatever you want to do.
Why not?
He's good at running.
But on the left, right? You mean because he's so much
on the left, not on the right, yeah.
He's so much better.
But I would want Martial on the left here.
No,
I would want Martial. Yeah.
In fact, you know what? Actually, you finish your lineup, then we get it. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah. So I want Martial on the left for two reasons. One, because see what Martial can do is he can actually stretch the defense. Daniel James can just run. I would want the defense to be stretched. Once you stretch their defense, someone like an Alex Telles can overlap and cross, and we have Rashford in the center. What Daniel James can do is he can try and break in the spaces, which will be essential for Donny van de Beek to get in. What I'm basically trying to say is that once you are not in control of the midfield, you might as well stay near the edge of the box, which gives you an additional option to attack, which I am sure PSG will not be expecting, because of the kind of play what Tuchel does always. Tuchel always, look at the goal which they considered in Champions League. Remember? What did Kingsley Coman do? He was waiting at the edge of the box all the time, because Tuchel does not mark that area at all. That's exactly where Donny van de Beek is extremely good at. What did he do at Aston Villa?
That's what. I'm glad that you mentioned that. But before I go further, Shyam, do you agree with that lineup, or do you have something different in mind?
I have something different. I probably wouldn't start Tuanzebe in the back. Although if you're especially preferring Luke Shaw to be the left centre back, along with Tuanzebe, it's a big no. Especially when Luke Shaw is not that quick. Although Lindelof isn't that quick either, but I'd still have Lindelof there. So I'd probably start with Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Luke Shaw and Telles, getting rid of Tuanzebe there. And I won't be surprised in the midfield if we have all the midfield we have been dreaming of. Bruno, Pogba, then your Van de Beek, and fourth Matic, yeah. Or even Fred for that matter, if you want, because Fred is good at disrupting play. And if needed, Pogba can play the Matic role which Scott McTominay can't. So they can gel in well together, and Martial and Rashford up front. But again, as I said, we have to be a little calculative in terms of the group which we are in. So if I'm a fan right now, probably a little realistically, I'm looking at 4 points from these two games versus PSG. And then how we end up on the table and in the top two to qualify and get through. Because it's not very easy group for us.
No.
So that's one thing we have to keep in mind, especially Ole with the rotation he wants to do. So So that is
Yeah.
something I.
So there is the eye on the big prize. There is Chelsea and Arsenal, on the back-to-back Premier League weekends. Two very big games, not only because, whereas Chelsea and Arsenal is because of the context of what the Premier League is already looking like, right? So
Yeah.
you can think that teams are all going to drop points, but why do you want to, right? You want to capitalize on every big game now, put the pressure on the other teams in the chasing back. But coming back to what Shyam said, that's exactly what I see happening. And wrapping up Prashanth's point, what Kingsley Coman was doing, right? One of Bruno, one of Van der Beek, one of Pogba. When Pogba can do that, they can easily. So
Yeah.
I don't want Van der Beek to be that deep with Matic. I would prefer it's Bruno or Pogba, but either of
Yes.
them can mix it around, right? And you can have Martial and Rashford up front, where Martial can go a bit left, right? He should be a little deep like you want him to, where he can just drift in the channels again and switch around with Pogba or Van der Beek. Have that fluidity going on, while Matic and Bruno maybe in the back do a little bit more sweeping. Pogba and Bruno can switch around over there as well. So it's a very fluid team. But of course, maybe that would be a better idea if it was this was a scenario at Old Trafford where we had a few injuries coming in and no Maguire. I feel like what Shyam said, if you're playing away from home, first match of the Champions League, you don't want to start with the losing note, might play a little safe. If he only thinks that way, right, I wouldn't be surprised if it starts off with even McTominay or Matic actually, and
Okay.
not start Van der Beek again, and start Bruno Pogba and go ahead with what a bit of Prashanth was saying. But if I look at this game and I look at these lineups, right, one thing is for certain: if you want to start Dan James, he has to be on the left. Unfortunately, he
Yeah.
doesn't do anything on the right. I think it's a waste to keep putting him on the right and expecting him to do something, because even Rashford couldn't do it. Rashford was
Yeah.
wasted on the right for
It's a
almost a
jinxed
season.
place, man. The right side of Manchester United is jinxed.
And
But unfortunately for us, Marshall is way better at left than what Dan James is.
or
So
Rashford
you
is.
can't
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
So you
You
can't
can't really
really
trade off
risk.
that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, if I had a choice, that is why if you ask me, I would not go with the two wide players in this game. I would want to see this midfield, because there is enough to keep that ball between them and to
Hmm.
basically just release Rashford and Martial. Imagine you just keep releasing them, right? And at some point of time, if they drop a little bit deep, a Van der Beek, like you said, could be that just. I'm not saying a
Just a
false
withdrawn
nine,
number 10 role.
or withdrawn number 10. Yeah, and why not, right? PSG don't have the best centre backs there. They're solid, but they don't have the best one. The captain's not there anymore. Thiago Silva's not there. They don't have that experienced player. Marquinhos should be fit, should be.
Yeah.
But Prashanth, if I'm not mistaken, he was playing CDL, right? In the middle of
Correct.
last season for them.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
have
Entire
enough.
season.
Yeah, and so United has enough to push this game ahead. But starting with Sham and then Prashant, any closing comments on what you think this game is going to be with our scoreline prediction?
One. So I have stopped predicting games because every time I predict, we lose. So that's out of the window.
No prediction.
Yeah, no predictions for me. But as we discussed it, yes, I think maybe we might, if we start the dream midfield which we are all wanting to, and especially with Martial has a good link up play with Rashford. Bruno has a good link up play with Rashford. So that switch and that fluidity we have in the midfield to the centre forwards which we have. I think we might just, if not lose, we'll probably get home with a point.
Prashant?
I expect this game to be an open game because remember that this game is more important for PSG than for Manchester United because people are expecting them to top the group. No one is giving them much of a chance versus Leipzig because of the way how they play. So they're expecting that to be a draw. And they're expecting they to thrash Man United because of the situation what we are in. Let's not get ahead of ourselves and say we are pushovers. Anyways, like Abby mentioned, we are a much better team than what we were last time, and probably because of one single man by the name of Paul Pogba. Because on his day, he can just turn the game for fun. And Thomas Tuchel even said that in the press conference today that you can criticize all what you want of Paul Pogba, but for me, he's the most complete and the best midfielder on planet Earth. Uh, so I expect this game to be quite open because both managers would want it. For Ole, it's a matter of redemption because whatever has happened, he will want to start the season on a good note from this particular spot. The Newcastle win was fine, but putting out a statement and winning against PSG will be a huge thing on for what he's facing right now, and it'll be a good start for what would be an acid test for him in October, right? So I expect this game to be open, but I will not predict it, but I'll be more than happy if we come up with a draw because I don't see much chance of winning here. So I'll be happy if we get a draw.
Yeah, if we had, even if we had Bai and Lindelof linked in the back together, I'd be more confident. I think it's unfair to put that kind of pressure on Luke Shaw to expect him to turn up and put up a Harry Maguire-like performance. The
Or
way
Alex
he's
Telles for that matter, right? I mean,
the way I look at Alex Telles is I look like a player who has nothing to lose, coming in, just going at a PSG, probably thrive on it. And I'm hoping he's that kind of player because that's a Manchester United player. He's like, throw me in, manager, throw me in, Gaffer. I want to prove. And let's not forget, he's played with the likes of Neymar. So he
yeah.
knows a thing or two, right? He knows Marquinhos.
Yeah.
He knows a thing or two. So I'm actually not that worried if Telles starts. I'm more worried about our centre-back pairing, which is why I also feel it might be a 1-1, 2-2 draw. If, again, United have to win this game, it will only go down to the fact that if Paul Pogba shows up again in midfield, if he starts, it's all down to that guy because we've all said it. He can be that difference and we want to see that player. But you know what? I don't think we are going to be talking much about Paul Pogba. I think we're going to talk about maybe Anthony Martial or Rashford at the end of the game. But hey,
I think so too, yeah.
That's
I
just
think
my
I really
Martial-
hope Paul Pogba turns up, man. I really wish Paul Pogba turns up because we've been dying to see that guy who turned games on his head on Juventus. And if someone asks a United fan, when has Paul Pogba turned games, you only say the City game, the Swansea game, the Chelsea game, Spurs game. That's it. He hasn't turned up as frequently as what he did for Juventus or for France, for that matter of fact. I really hope, this season, especially tomorrow's game, is the start of a lot of new things for Paul Pogba at United.
But
Or
compared
maybe-
to all the other players coming into this game, Anthony Martial had rest this weekend. So he would be a lot more fresher to come into this game. And this game, according to me, will be won or lost in the midfield.
Yep, 100. I was about to say this could not just be the
100%.
start for Paul Pogba. This could be the beginning of a very sweet friendship or relationship between Van de Beek and the Stretford end, right back home when everyone's back there cheering and buzzing. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this episode. Feel a little
Thank
better
you.
going into this, and I hope you guys do
Yeah.
too. To everyone tuning in, thank you so much. Don't forget to like on this video, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, hit us up in the comments and on our social media handles. We'll be happy to engage with you. You can also obviously know everything there's to know about these guys. Shyam with MUFCM has been involved for a while. The MUFCM Live has been buzzing for a couple of months. They've all been playing their part. Prashanth Nair himself with MUFCI has been doing a great job going on lives. So you can obviously talk to them separately as well. They're happy to have conversations with you. Probably way more than I do, right? But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you guys hopefully in a very, very happy post-match. Cheers.
Cheers.